Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdic Steve, and today I'm hanging out with Valerie. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
Good. If you could be just so kind to kind of introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, yes, as you know, I go by Valerie. That is the current character I am cosplaying for my campaign that I'm in right now. Um, Amberfell Whispers from the Stars is the name of the campaign. It is posted on YouTube, updated every week. Um, and yeah, I have been TikToking for like a couple months now, but I've loved dressing up my entire life. So this was just a fun way to get to cosplay. Essentially, like this is my reason for cosplay. So.
Nice. So real quick, folks, as always, there are links in the description so you can check out Valerie and find their content online, as well as we are launching our second Kickstarter tomorrow at like 10 a.m. There is a link to follow that so you can sign up for that and check that out as well. Um, a little bit of a confession. So, like, the way TikTok works, or at least the way I use it anyway, is I just basically whatever shows up on my For You page. And you like kept showing up a bunch, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool content. And a lot of times I might not even look at like how many followers someone has or whatever. I don't really care that much. If they're doing something and they seem to be into it and it's fun, then I'll invite them to come on and talk about gaming or whatever else comes up, TikToking. So I had no idea. You're like, oh, I just started a minute ago, basically. Um, but because you just show up on my For You page a lot, and what you're doing is kind of cool and fun, and you seem to be doing pretty good because you've already got over 2,000 followers over there.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, first of all. And I've shocked myself really because I didn't know. Like, yeah, it's been like 2 months into it, maybe not even 2 months exactly, but I just was like, well, this could be fun because, like I said, I do love dressing up, and I'm already playing D&D, and I dress up for our campaign as it is. And then I was lurking in TikTok myself for a long time, and I saw that people were doing it. And I was like, well, I feel old, but I'm going to give this a go and see what happens. And yeah, I feel like I've done okay.
So, how did you first start playing D&D and get into gaming?
It's been like 3-ish years ago. My husband, he was super wanting to try it. He had like a group of friends wanting to try it. We have a big nerdy friend group for sure. So he wanted to give it a go, and he told me a little bit more about it. And I was like, oh, so I get to dress up? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yes, let's do this. So, and then the rest is history.
So, were you doing like cosplay stuff before?
Um, Not on a regular basis. Essentially, every Halloween was my time to shine because I didn't know very like I wanted to cosplay. I always wanted to, but I never had a real reason to, and it just didn't really, I guess, fit in my lifestyle typically.
Yeah.
But yes, Halloween, I go all out. And even one year, I went to Nashville for like a bachelorette party, and it was like a Disney bar crawl thing. And so it's kind of funny because all my friends for the bachelorette party, they're all dressing up as Disney princesses, which is great. I love Disney princesses too. But I dressed up as the Mad Hatter, and we're all out in our little group. And I ended up winning first place that night in Nashville, and I felt really cool. So yeah, and I was like, maybe I'm a little bit better at this than I thought. I don't know.
Well, I guess that makes sense too. I mean, one, like obviously I've seen the stuff that you've done and your work is fantastic, but also if everyone else is doing princesses and stuff and you do something that kind of stands out, that probably helps too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and my friend group was all Disney. Like, I mean, there were like hundreds of people there all dressed up. There was other Mad Hatters, there were
Yeah.
all types of people there. But
But you
out
rocked
of
it.
everyone there, I won first place. And I was like, this feels right.
Nice. Um so that's kind of interesting that like you weren't into costuming per se beforehand, other than like, typical Halloween. And now you've kind of been doing it for TikTok, and before that for your D&D group. Um, is there any plans maybe in the future to get into cosplaying?
I mean, honestly, that would be goals. Like, if I could just dedicate my life to that. But as you know, it's expensive. It's an expensive hobby. And I am too lazy to learn how to sew my own costumes and everything. So I
Right.
buy everything. I have a lot of admiration for people who can make their own stuff, but I just pretty much buy everything off of Amazon, and that adds up. And I don't have endless amounts of money. But if I did, yes, that would be like the goal, would to just be every day I do new cosplay. I I think you saw I posted like I was contemplating trying to do a new cosplay every month this year. Like, I don't know, that'd be kind of cool to look back on, but I
Yeah.
just don't know if I have the financial means to do that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it can definitely be daunting in that regard. Although there are some like I want to say thrift cosplayers that like that's kind of like their thing is like doing cosplays fast and cheap.
Yeah. I might need to look more into being more thrifty for sure. So I don't know. But like I see like, you see like the really cool, like the people that go all out, like spend hundreds of money, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh God, I wish I could do that.
Well,
But
if you ever become independently wealthy, there you go.
yes, for
So,
sure.
if money wasn't an obstacle, what would be like your pinnacle all time, you know, cosplay to do?
Oh wow. I I honestly I really enjoy doing my original characters through D&D, like all my D. So I mean, I see like all the critical role play or cosplay, and I really like them, and I think that probably gets people noticed a lot better too if they do it really well. But I don't know. I just really like making my own characters. So uh, if I could just, I mean, that would just be it. I don't know. Yeah, that would be. I don't know. But also, I did enjoy doing the Mad Hatter. It's like I do enjoy doing like Disney villains and stuff like that too. But if I'm thinking about it, most of my Halloween events have been like scary, more scary side. Oh, Nightmare Before Christmas though, I do. That's one of my favorite all-time things. And for our gender reveal, I actually dressed up as Sally, like went full out and had my husband do Jack, and we had like the pumpkin reveal, and then we for his first Halloween this year, we had him be Oogie Boogie, and
Nice.
so it was we did the whole thing. Yes, and then we didn't really do it. I did buy us some little cringy Santa and elf shirts for Christmas because people were giving me crap about not doing anything for Christmas but going all out for Halloween.
Hey, look, you got your priorities. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And also as Rich the GM points out, horror Valkyrie cosplays, but definitely like the horror genre is a pretty big cosplay genre as well.
Yes, yes. I do enjoy it. I am actually, funny enough, I don't like being scared. Like I refuse to watch horror films. Um, but I love being the scarer for sure. Like give me that clown mask to put on me, yes. But if you come near me with the clown mask on you, no thank you.
Oh man, you ever scare yourself?
um, I mean, not kind of, to be honest. If I'm going up the stairs and it's like all dark and I see the reflection of me when I'm all dressed up, yeah, I'm like, oh, excuse me.
Yeah, yeah. So, how many original characters have you cosplayed so
Um, for D&D, well, yeah, yeah. I think this is technically only my third one because, I think this is really only my third one. My first one was like a druid elf, um, and then I did a pirate for just a couple. It was like I think it's like a one shot that turned into a couple of episodes, but And then yeah, this one because I took a long break while I was pregnant and COVID and everything. So yeah, this is really only my third. But I have like a closet dedicated to costumes just from all the years of Halloween and everything. So it's yeah. Yeah.
So do you dress up every session when you game?
I try to at least a little bit. We don't start our sessions until 9:30 at night, which for me is super late because I typically wake up at 5 a.m. for work and everything. Um, so it depends on how spicy I'm feeling that night.
Yeah.
Back when we did it in person and at like more normal hours, I definitely always dressed up, but I at least try and wear my wig and my fangs and ears and stuff. I try and put some effort into it. Some nights I'm all the way, like if I've been filming for TikTok,
Yeah.
then I'm already all dressed up. Have been trying to time it like that. Like I'm just going to make videos tonight. I'll already be dressed up. But it doesn't always work out.
How many TikTok videos have you filmed so far?
Oh God, that's a great question because I don't even. I would have to say it's in the hundreds, like because I probably do 10, 20-ish videos when I do film, and I try and film like once a week now, but I don't know. It would have to be a couple hundred or
Do you
so ish.
do you have like a release schedule that you try and stick to?
I try and only do like 2 a day, but sometimes I get real excited. So like yesterday on New Year's Eve, I filmed for like 6 hours on New Year's Eve because I introduced Valerie before she became a Dampier. And I was really, really excited to do that because just like me, like Valerie is like a part of me, right? So I have two sides to me. I have like the more goth, side, and then I have the hippie side. So Valerie, as a Dampier, obviously you've seen those videos, but I also like sparkly rainbows too. So I'm getting to do more fun edits with that. So I've released like probably eight videos in the last 2 days because I'm like, look at Valerie, she's so cool. But it doesn't always work out. Like I cannot figure out the algorithm either. Some of the videos I put really a lot of work into and I think are just super fantastic kind of flop. And then the ones that I put out there that I barely spent any time on there, just like, oh, look at this. It has a couple thousand views. And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've done like over 3,000 videos, or probably working on 4,000 at this point, and I still have no idea what people want, right? So like, I'm sure like part of it's the algorithm for TikTok, and part of it is just like what lands with people and how they react to stuff.
Yeah.
And the longer I do this, the less I feel like I know what anyone wants.
Well, it kind of makes me feel better about my life.
Yeah, and also like TikTok's in some ways more difficult because in like on YouTube it's like you have metadata that you can kind of play with in order to try and steer the algorithm. But on TikTok, I don't know how much of a factor that is.
Yeah. I try and play with like hashtags and, when I post it, what time of day I'm posting it and stuff. Like sometimes I get really, anal about it. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to do these hashtags.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, either hits or it doesn't. It just doesn't even matter. And I don't know.
Coin.
Yeah.
So Rich the GM wants to know what the next two D&D characters you want to do are in the future.
That's a great question. I do want to try Druid again because that was my first character I ever did. And I went into it pretty blind. The spell slots kind of threw me for a loop. But I do feel like a Druid is kind of like who I am and my soul a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would like to give that another go. Um, and then, gosh, another. Good.
I feel
Let
like
me
druids and
think.
vampires are at like opposite ends of the spectrum.
They are, and that's why I also love vampires. Also part of my soul. But like I said, I'm a very split personality. Like I got the goth side and the hippie side, so I'm a little bit of both. Um,
Would that just make you a pastel goth?
mhm, look at you knowing things.
Knowing things.
I I just recently learned that myself. So yeah. I don't. I really enjoy the barbarian too, though. So,
I
but
get that. Like sometimes you
yeah,
just want to break stuff.
yes, you do. Like, and I'm so like in my everyday life, like I'm introverted, I'm shy. I don't
Yeah.
really get to release my anger. Essentially, like, I keep it all locked up inside. So when I am playing, like it's like this whole different side of me. Like my husband after the session will be like, "Are you okay?"
He's doing a wellness check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first like when we were for our very first campaign we were gonna do together, and he was like, well, "What would you want to be?" And I was like, "I want to be someone who seduces people and then kills them." And he's like, what?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." So
Succubus.
yeah,
He's now
exactly.
and you're ever since your husband has never had a good night's.
The poor man. I just, yeah, I have a lot of pent up anger, I guess.
Well, I can definitely relate to like wanting to be a barbarian in the game because in real life there are just times you'd be like, I would like to rage now, and
Huh?
it's just not socially acceptable.
It's
And
not.
there's definitely government agencies that frown upon it. So,
It's true. It's sad.
uh, so Rich suggests possibly you could do a fairy barbarian.
Is that a thing?
Well, there is a fairy race, and there are barbarians.
Is there?
So,
Mm,
I
I do.
mean,
Well, I was a Genasi for like one shot we did,
yeah.
and I would like to explore the Genasi further for sure. I will say that now that I'm
Which
thinking about it.
flavor?
So I'm really bad at choices. I when I went, it took me forever to figure out. I think I ended up being a water genasi. I was a water genasi for that one. But honestly, I would like to try each one because I felt like they all had really good, pros. So I don't know. I I want to try all the things. Let's just
All
be
the
real.
things. I like Earth
Yeah.
Genasi's, but I think they need a little mechanically. They need a little more oomph. They seem to lag behind the rest of the Genasis.
Do they? Mm,
Well, the
I
only
can't
thing they
remember.
get is they can cast Pass Without Trace like once a day. I think,
Oh,
and compared to like then all the other ones get like several things.
yeah,
So that makes me
yeah.
sad. I like the Earth element.
That's fair. I guess I'm typically went for more like the fire, water, and air. I think the earth was my least favorite now that I think
Yeah,
about it. But
I could get that. It is kind of like the boring one, I guess.
well, yeah. Also, like I refuse to ever play a human. I'm like, I know they have really good like stats in general, but
Uh,
no, I'm a human in everyday life. Like this is not why I want to like. When I'm playing D&D, I'm going to be something I can't be in real life. So
yeah, I know. I totally get that. And for the longest time, most of most of our character choices were kind of like that in a lot of our games. I will say, like the variant human with the feet does offer up some interesting choices that you wouldn't necessarily be able to take advantage of. So, like if you're going for a certain build or for a feel for a character, so human is like the only way to do it at first level.
yeah,
So
I refuse.
yeah, there's
But
nothing
I
wrong with that. Hey,
like,
there's no wrong way to do it. Whatever floats your boat.
yeah, I mean, that's why I decided to be an elf because I was like, elves have a lot of great qualities too, and they're sort of humanist. I don't know, but I was like, yeah,
I so I've always gravitated towards dwarves, and I would have to like, I want to play this class or this concept, and I think it would be a great dwarf. So I got to a point where I was like, all right, I have to like play things that are not just dwarves.
But doors are like, because they can, get under things real, they're so short and they can pass through things. So I do like understand the whole dwarf concept. I thought about it myself a couple times, but
Yeah.
I also like, I'm interested in playing a tiefling at some point for sure. Then a changeling, all the cool, I don't know. I just really, things that I could never be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely get that. Um so I guess you never got to cosplay your Genasi. Will that ever maybe happen in the future?
Oh man. Hopefully, like I mean, I'm at the mercy of whoever invites me to their campaign, I guess. But also I don't have all the time in the world to do different campaigns. But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, if that opportunity ever arose for another one, I'm sure it will at some point.
Well, I guess I'm speaking more to the fact that like now that you're doing TikTok, like
Oh,
that kind of opens things up. You're like, you don't really need a campaign if you just want to make a character.
that's true. So I have been thinking about how I'm gonna take this because when you're looking at other people's TikToks and general, like, so my name is Valerie the Barbarian, and I'm dedicated to this character right now. And I'm toying with the idea of introducing just like my own original characters through there, but like, will that throw people off? Because I have, definitely like a certain niche of people are following me right now. And I don't know. And if I look at other people's TikTok, like some people just stick with one like theme, it's like looks, same black and white every time. And, nothing really changes except the video itself. And then I'm kind of, it's Valerie, it's all Valerie, but I am playing with different things because now I've introduced younger Valerie. And like, is it okay? Are people going to respond well if I just start doing all my original characters that I want to do? I don't know. Do I need to change my name?
I don't know. Can you change your name on TikTok once you've said it?
I think so. I'm still new, but I think you can. But
Yeah.
also, I don't know, maybe I just take Valerie as long as I can and then start slowly introducing people and then still do Valerie as well, but like
Yeah.
throw in other ones.
Well, what if it's Valerie's account, but if Valerie occasionally invites other folks to come
Oh,
visit her
yeah,
account?
that is a good point.
Um,
Yeah,
so so Valerie is a Dampier vampire or a Dampier barbarian that you play.
yeah.
How did you come up with that character concept?
Um, well, we were, it's kind of like we were into watching The Witcher around the time this all came out too, and or this campaign was starting, or that I started. The campaign started before I started. I should say that, but The Witcher was fresh on my mind, and so kind of had like that mindset already. I was super into that, and then just we were talking, or my husband explaining the campaign to me because, like I said, they started like a year before I started. And they were in just some really, he was explaining like all the events that had happened before then. And when I was starting the campaign, there was a hag, an evil hag there, and like it was a brothel, and it was like, well, he doesn't like for it to be referred to as a brothel, but it was a brothel. And just like all the things that were happening in the campaign already. And I wanted, like I said, my first real character was a druid, and I played other like more what's the word I'm looking for? Like non-evil. I don't know. Because I'm not dark. Yeah, it's dark. So I wanted to do this. I just like it'd be different. So I was thinking about the backstory and everything, and like how I started off as a wood elf, which like my backstory has not really been revealed in the campaign. But started off as a wood elf, and then Valerie like went out hunting one day and essentially just woke up in a different realm and has no idea what happened, doesn't remember her life before when she was a little. She doesn't really remember any of that. And she was trapped in a castle, and it was a Dhampir. And that's like pretty much all she's known is like being tortured in a castle. And then she escaped into this reality, or into this other realm now. So, what was the original question? The original question was, how did I come up with this character?
Yeah.
There's just, talking about the campaign, what was already happening, and I wanted to do something darker. Dhampir, when it was explained to me like what a Dhampir was and how you could still walk in the day, you weren't a full vampire, you have some of the bonuses from it and everything. I was like, this feels right. This feels really good. So I just wanted to, I don't know. And the more I've played, the more I realized like that hidden part of me was in there all along.
Yeah.
So
one of the things we kind of started like talking about a little bit before we went live, and we can talk about this if you want to or not if you don't. But you have a really large chest tattoo that that I've seen in a lot of your TikToks, and so I wanted to ask you about that. What's that about?
If y'all seen my TikToks, you've seen it, but it's technically a cover-up. So back when I was young and not so stable, I don't know. I was in a bad part of my life, I guess I should just leave it at that. But I was at a friend's house and he did tattoos in his home. It was great. And I drew it up real quick. It was like, technically it was the infinity knot beforehand. Uh-huh. And I was like, yeah, with a heart around it. And I was like, this is going to be cool, right? And he was like, yeah. Anyway, so he did it and it was not that cool. And then, later in life, a little bit better, a little bit more financially stable too. I was like, I'm going to get this professionally done, I think. And I have a deep love for cats. Like I have 3 cats right now. They're basically, before I ever had human children, those were my children for sure. Yeah. Die for them, So he basically was like, well, there's not a lot, there was a little bit difficult to figure out what we could cover it up with. But once he brought up, like, well, you like cats? I'm like, heck yeah, I do. So he said he could do it. And yeah, it turned out great. And
no, it looks awesome. It's got a lot of great colors. How old is that piece?
Oh gosh, it is. Let me think, because I got it when I started dating. So it's like 6-ish years old. Yeah, okay. 6 years.
Yeah, my first tattoo was done with a needle and thread and Indian ink. So I then got that covered up. And also my first tattoo might be older than you. So it's like so old. Wow. And now I'm to the point where like I have a bunch of tattoos that I need to get. I want to get them. It's not that I want them covered per se. It's just that they're all really old and they just after a while they fade. So they do, like touched up or something.
Yeah.
And also too like I didn't know as much about tattoos then as I do now. So tattoo artists are always push to get bigger, right? They always want it bigger when they do it, right? And it kind of makes sense because those tattoos also hold up better. Mm-hmm. So I have some ones that are smaller that I was like, had I known back then, I wouldn't have gotten them, so small. Or if I was going to get something that size, it would be simpler.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. My dog.
I was going to say, I hear a doggo.
Yes.
What kind of dog do you
have? She is part husky, part German Shepherd, and we think part lab. She looks more lab than anything, but that would be the father, and we only knew what the mother was for sure. Yeah. So yeah. But she is our neighborhood watch. We live like on top of a hill in a 2-story house, so she likes to peer out and see the whole neighborhood. Everything. Yes.
Yeah. We have a a COVID baby that is. We were told she's Shar-Pei and Mastiff.
Oh,
So
that's
everyone's like,
exciting.
"That's a real big dog," but she's not. She's like 60 pounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Barbara's bigger than that. She's like 75-ish. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, like we had a chocolate lab before that, and it had been a couple years, and so we had been home, like everybody else, I guess, and go. I was like, this would be a good time to get another dog. We had Buster for like 13 years. I kind of grew up with my daughter. He was like about 100 pounds,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
he was a good
Well,
boy. And now we have Astrid, who she's sweet, but she hates dogs. She loves like people and animals, but just not dogs. So
well,
weird.
it's okay. My dog has to take anxiety medicine if we're being honest. She's a little crazy.
Uh,
I don't know where she gets it from.
I totally get that. Like I came home from the gym the other night, and my wife was had just came into the front yard from taking the dog out, and she just starts running around her in circles, and like as fast as she can. I'm waiting for her to like start lifting off the ground, and to kind of be like swung by her head because she just goes. She just gets. I understand dogs that are a little crazy.
I mean, people will like always ask us, like, oh, was she abused? And we're like, no, we raised her from a puppy.
Yeah.
And she's just, I don't know, like she's the most spoiled dog you'll ever meet, but she just acts like she's crazy. I don't understand it. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Where did we go wrong?
Well, yeah, she's kind of vocal and tends to bark. And the first time like we seen her around other dogs, not up close, but she would always like bark, and she would get this like really mean bark. And then I noticed the ridge on her back would go up every time.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So my son had his friend bring over their dog to test her, and she went right for the dog's face.
Oh,
Oh, you have very bad social skills. But like she loves cats. We've got chinchillas. She loves those. She wants to play with those and smell them. And like the neighbor has chickens that inevitably end up in our yard all the time, and she wants to play with them. Like anything but dogs. She's
interesting.
She's good with it. When it's a dog, she just chooses violence. It doesn't matter what size the dog is. It doesn't matter how many dogs there are. She just wants to fight. My wife was like, this dog is also very spoiled. My wife was going somewhere and she had the dog with her in the car, like she often does. You didn't lie; a cat did show up.
No, I know it
happens. And she was stopped at a red light, and a car pulls up next to them, and there's a dog in it, and she was like, I was so embarrassed because our dog is trying to get through the window to get to this, the windows are up through the window to get to this other dog, and the whole car is shaking and rocking back and forth. And she's just sitting there trying not to be noticed.
Yes. Oh God. Yeah. We don't take our dog on many cars because she shakes in the car. She's so scared. Like, oh God, where are you taking me?
I think she thinks she's driving. Like she likes to stand between the front seats and like watch everything.
I love it. I wish my dog did that. It'd be a lot more fun to take her places.
It's so weird because like the last dog was not nearly as spoiled as this one, and this one is like, I don't know. I'm waiting for one of my kids to leave so that she can have the room. But I think our dog has at least a couple levels of Barbarian.
So, oh yeah, always choose violence.
And it's Shallander says the dog is a Highlander. Yeah, that I've described the dog that way as well. When it comes to other dogs, there can only be one. But at the same time, she's like, she gets bullied by our cats, and she's terrified of them.
Yes, that's how. So our dog, we think that might be why she's so anxious, because she was raised by the cats.
Yeah,
and the cats definitely, like, even as a puppy, we saw them. Like, our cats don't even necessarily like each other. They're all female. Every animal we own is female, and it's just terrible. And even though the cats might even like each other, like there were times when she was growing up, like that they would all team up and like attack her at the same time. I was like,
Oh
oh
wow.
god. Yeah. So, but now she's so much bigger than all, and like she could tear them apart if she really wanted to. But it's been a
Prison rules,
fun,
right? You just gotta like
yeah,
take on the biggest one first before and
yep, it's been fun.
nah, it's the same thing because it's weird because we've got 3 cats and she's definitely afraid of 2 of them, but the one we got is a kitten after her. So like we call that one her boyfriend, and like I mean they would play and wrestle, and like you would look over and the cat's like in the dog's mouth. I'm like, what are you doing? And like you pull them apart and the cat is like covered in dog saliva, right? But it's purring. And
Right.
or you look over and like, what is going on over there? And the cat is literally like attached to the dog's face. And I'm like, doesn't that hurt? And she's just like
Right.
sitting there with this stupid expression on her face and a cat attached to her like a face hugger. So
Yeah. I think it's definitely better to get a dog first or get them at the same time or have the dog and then the cat. Because, yeah, the
yeah.
cat, well, or at least have a boy. Boy cats are supposed to be a lot nicer in general. And all my cats, really, two, before I got the third cat, the 2 that I had were great together. They vibed really well.
Yeah.
It's just the third one that threw it all off. She tried to alpha everything and messed it all up. So,
Yeah. It's weird. You never know how they're gonna react and interact with each other. So
yeah.
like the one cat that we have, like he kind of like laid down the law on her real early, and then
Mhm.
for a while like he would also just charge her for no reason, and like the dog would run from one side of the room to the other and like jump into my wife's lap to get away from it, to get away from the cat. So like ever since then, the dog, that dog does not, he just defers to those cats, except for Simba, which is the one that was kind of raised with her, who is always like trying to Goomba stomp him, like because he would like try to run out of the room because we keep her like kind of confined to the family room where we are. So she would use her paws to try and hook him and like pull him in, because I like she also does this like swatting motion a lot, which I think she kind of learned from
Mm.
the cats.
Yeah. My dog does the same thing.
I don't think she knows. I just don't think she knows she's a dog.
Yes. 100%.
It's like she either thinks she's the smallest cat or she thinks she's a person, one or the other.
Yes.
So
That is my dog 100%. Like she thinks she's super light and agile, just like the, and she thinks she can climb over us just like the cat does. Like she has no, like, never crosses her mind she's 75 pounds, and
yeah.
it's just,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Like we were like, are you part goat? Because she likes to walk around the back and arms of our couches and stay,
Mine too.
and stay on them.
Yes. Let's
Yeah.
kill the cats. It has to be.
Yeah, I think that's what happens when your dog is raised by cats.
Yes.
I don't know.
They're special.
So I was going to ask, in your D&D groups, are you the only one that dresses up, or do other people cosplay their characters as well?
So initially I was, even our very first campaign, I was definitely the first one to dress up, but I did inspire other people to dress up eventually. And in this campaign, same thing that happened. I was the only one dressing up for the longest. And then finally, just like 2 sessions ago, Moog, one of the other character, he's a bugbear. He started dressing up, and then now last session, Zune just started dressing up. She plays a drow, and or she plays a he. Anyway, so it's pretty great because I start the trends, but we also get DM inspiration when we dress up. So I would love for everyone to dress up. That would be so cool.
So are they doing it for the inspiration or because you peer pressured them?
I think they're doing it for the DM inspiration, honestly, but
It doesn't matter how it happens, just that it happens.
Yeah.
I've only really cosplayed like 2 of my characters, sort of. And they were both for streams. So like one, we did this game called Dungeons and Delving, which was based off of like a like a reality TV show where like everyone is part of an adventuring group, and then you do dungeon runs in order to like score points.
Oh,
And I dressed up as a chef because my character's story was like they were signing up for like a cooking competition, but
mm,
the rival for that cooking show switched out the application on them, and so they ended up in this other show instead. Uh, so,
gosh.
so that one was pretty easy because I just ordered like a chef hat and a and jacket. And then
Yeah.
there was another one where I used to have long hair that I would wear in a ponytail, and he was a barbarian, and I would just pull my hair down, and um something going on in the campaign where people were showing up missing their brains.
In their
So
brain?
yeah, missing their brains. So he's very concerned about his brain getting eaten. So
Yeah.
instead of getting a helmet, he got a cooking pot, and,
Mm.
and would wear the cooking pot on his head. So my wife would be like, "Where's my cooking pot? Are you playing D&D again?"
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I like it. You know,
Uh,
barbarians are not usually the smartest one around, so that makes
no,
sense.
no. So like the artist that did the character art for those kind of blended like some of our features with the character features.
Oh,
And since I wear glasses, she decided to put glasses on my barbarian character, who is also a Goliath, but I played him as a half ogre.
oh yeah.
And she's like, "I can take these off if you want." I was like, "Oh no, leave them." And so like because we started a little bit higher level, um, so we were given a magic item, and I forget I took one of the magic sets of glasses as
Yeah.
as my magic item. But like the
Oh,
character, that's not really why the character wore them. He wore them because he thought they made him smart by
yeah.
wearing them. So, but he was not.
I know. I know. My intelligence is a -1. You know, I'm like, nailing it, but
I
I
feel
don't
like
need to
it's
be smart to punch things.
that's true. And also, I just like playing. I just like playing dumb characters sometimes.
Well, honestly, I feel like it works out for me because I still feel so like I feel like a noob still when I'm playing. I'm always asking questions. So I'm like, well, this is fine because my character doesn't know what's happening either. You know, it's
Yeah.
fine. I'm just here to murder.
Well, I mean, also like a game like D&D, depending on what kind of like world you're playing and campaign you're on. I mean, it's like over 50 years worth of lore stored up.
Yeah,
It's not nothing, that's for sure. And then in addition to that, if you're then playing in like a home campaign that your DM has made, like then there's
which we
also a
are.
bunch of information that you don't really probably have access to.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Uh, yeah. I will say last night, I'm pretty proud of this moment. I can't wait for it to be posted. We were creeping up on the big bad evil guy. So it was me. Uh, let's see. All of our three of our characters, players, three of our players had been taken away. They're like locked in cages. It's just me and Moog, which neither of us are super intelligent, and we both just kind of like to, bring on violence first. So we're in here sneaking into the big bad evil guy, right? And I try and tell him, like, okay, I'm gonna sneak because I have super good stealth, so and I can walk on walls and ceiling. I see our fellow people over there. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go try and get them first before we fight. So I'm sneaking over there, and he just decides to start letting it all go. So I'm like, okay, cool. I ended up getting like first roll, like first initiative and everything. So I ended up getting a surprise round and all this, and I ended up dealing like 88 points of damage. I almost killed the big fat evil first round, but so close, because she ended up getting away last minute. But it feels good when you're in there and you're just slicing and dicing.
What does Valerie fight with?
my claws. That's so when I rage, I do form of the beast
Oh,
in my
nice.
claws, and they're actually considered magic now. So I do magic damage with my claws. And yeah. Now if I don't have any rages left, then I do have a great sword that I'll pull out. And I
Yeah.
also recently acquired a devil's ward, which you probably know, but you can take the soul of the enemy it kills. But it gives you like 10 additional hit points and such. So I don't know. But the claws are my go-to for sure. I like doing like a vampiric bite every once in a while, but I have learned that not everything is good for me to bite into. Sometimes it's poisonous to me. So,
That sounds like it was a hard learned lesson.
yes. Yes.
Worst thing Valerie's ever bitten.
Oh, hmm, well, let me think. Normally, normally there's nothing bad happening to me because I'm untouchable. But I did recently go down. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. What was it? But I don't. But the memory that comes to me, which is the worst one, but the thing that I've held on to probably two things. Okay. First one was when I bit into or tried to bite into a creature that had acid for blood. And so that was not cool.
Not magically delicious.
No, it was not. Another thing that it just personally made me rage. It's not even probably that big a deal, but I hate it with a passion. I got banished, and while I was banished, it was me and the other barbarian, like the two medius people, and we got banished, and like literally the rest of the party was rolling like death saves by the time we got back, and I was like, "This is." I was so upset. I just hate. Well, the one like another story. First time I ever played, when my husband was DMing, he banished me, and it really upset me because that's my husband. I'm supposed to get special treatment over here. There was zero special treatment. And then this time I got banished again. It's like PTSD, and I don't know. I hate it because you can't do anything. You literally can't do anything. And I
Yeah,
feel
banishment is harsh. I've had that happen. That's been my bane as a character and a DM.
yeah. It how has it been your vein as a DM? I feel like it would be glorious if I ever DM, I'm gonna banish those who have banished me.
Well, as the DM, like I was using a demon as like the big bad,
Uh-huh.
and the I think the warlock cast banishment on them, and I failed to save. And it wasn't like
Oh, is it?
a powerful enough demon that they had legendary resistances or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was like, well, that was anticlimactic. And a lot of times, as a DM, I generally just roll my dice into open, and it is
Yeah.
whatever it is. And like the saving throw, I probably, and they had advantage on the saving throw because magic resistance, but I still probably rolled like a 5 and a 6 or something stupid.
Mm.
So but then also as a player, my my dwarven fighter wizard had definitely been banished a couple times and taken out of the fight. So
Yeah.
that charisma
That.
save is brutal. Like unless you're
Mhm.
playing, a paladin or a warlock, it kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I do not appreciate banishment. Like
Yeah.
like I hold on to that memory over me going down. Like I can't. I'm trying to really think about what happened to her when she had to roll a couple of death saves recently, but I can't even think what happened. My main memories are just like me killing other people. Like I tore a harpy
Yeah.
apart the other day, like a wishbone, just like you know.
Nice.
Those are my more fond memories.
Well, I can relate like with Valerie like biting things that maybe they shouldn't bite because
Yeah.
Jogo, my barbarian, fought unarmed as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had the tavern brawl, and it was just grapple things mostly.
Mm.
So he learned the hard way you cannot you cannot grapple puddings. Yeah, so like I would have him do dumb
Well,
things all the time. Like he would learn from his mistakes, but like he has
yeah,
to make the mistake first so he can learn from
right. Exactly. Yeah. I my character is learning that people, you're not supposed to just like eat live rats in front of the townsfolk, apparently. I don't know why that's such a tisk tisk, but apparently it freaks people out.
it.
So, and I don't really, or she doesn't. They keep trying to make me, like my party members, they keep trying to like make me look better than I really am. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. Like this is who I am. Accept me,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
let it be.
Well, the last campaign that I ran, like that stuff was so the game was called Court of Worms, and it's this valley that's kind of ruled by these like dragon emperor type characters, and all the player characters were like reptilian creatures. Like they're all like most of them would be either dragonborn or kobolds, grung, turtles, and anything with scales basically.
Yeah.
So like when you went to a tavern or to eat, like chances are like they would put out like goldfish in pitchers, or like rodents and stuff like that, and it would be live. And that was the appetizer type stuff. Maybe some like mealworms and grubs and that kind of stuff they would eat as
Sounds
well.
like my type of place,
Yeah, yeah. The
I
humans the
bet.
humans in that vale are considered kind of primitive, um,
Ah,
and not as sophisticated or technologically advanced as the other races. So they were like
mm.
referred to as like hairless apes, and like sometimes they would like study them and stuff. Like they were like animals basically.
I like it.
Yeah,
That's how it should be.
maybe. Definitely some days more so than others. So I know you said you're kind of shy, but do you have any desire to maybe take over the other side of the DM screen at some point? Try your hand at running some
Boy.
games.
Um, I've definitely contemplated it, and it's partly out of spite, just because I'm like, I want to get back at people. It's like my true barbarian side taking over. Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought it's just when I start like even beginning to research like all the like I know like D&D has made it pretty easy for D&D Beyond has made it like pretty easy for you, and like we have all the books and everything. You can follow the campaigns; they pretty much spelled out for you. But at the same time, there is just like so much of the what if, like what if the party doesn't want to do this and they do
Yeah.
something else, and then I have to think on the spot. And I'm just in general much more of like I need everything written out exactly like how it's gonna go. Like doing stuff
Yeah.
like this even is very out of character for me. So,
Well, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate you venturing
oh yeah.
outside of your comfort zone.
I mean, I enjoy it. I just get nervous. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Well, I feel
So,
like I mean I've been DMing for a long time now, and I still get nervous for before sessions all the time, and then it's like one of
really?
those things like you start doing it, and then you just kind of like fall into it, and, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say like one of the things I learned is if you want to do a lot of prep, you can, but like knowing the things that are actually end up being more useful usually isn't like I'm gonna write this adventure out. It's usually like having a list of NPCs and taverns and blacksmith shops, and and maybe like some encounters that you could throw in anywhere. Like if you work like more on the world building stuff in the area where your players are going to be, that stuff ends up,
Yeah.
in my opinion, becoming more useful. Because if they do throw you a curveball, I'm not going to do the thing you planned. I'm doing this instead. You have stuff that you can kind of fall back on.
Right. Right. Yeah. Makes sense. And people do love, I know our party likes to go in and to the shops and whatnot, and I'm personally always looking for a healing potion. Like when we go through any, like kill all the people, I'm like, are there any healing potions laying because I need
Yeah.
them.
Are you a fan of the shopping episode?
Uh, yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what all to buy either. Like, so
Yeah.
I just I'm like, oh, I hope there's something cool I could wear. I don't know. Because I feel like I'm still too new to know what to shop for,
Uh huh.
So I'm just like, is there anything that looks like something I could use?
So I feel like there's a couple ways you can look at that, right? You can look at it from like mechanically, are there the things I can buy that will benefit me, or like, is there just something if I was this person I would want might not have any game effect whatsoever? Um, I know, like in one of our the games that I ran, they were gonna be going to a ball, in the Feywild, and so they're in the city, so they're like, oh, we need to shop for things to wear. And also that group like doing that kind of stuff pretty often too. They also like they like created their own side quests, which was to open and operate a bathhouse in addition to being adventurers. So,
I like it. Our party is contemplating kind of taking over the town that we've burned it to the ground and we've helped rebuild it. So we're contemplating just kind of claiming our stake there and like, let's make money off this town. I don't know. So
it is kind of funny, like some of the things that players want to do. It's like, do you want to go on this adventure? And they're like, no, I think we want to set up this tavern and run the tavern.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're headed with this one town we're in. But we somehow got sucked on, like went to this side quest that has been super brutal. So I don't know. Hopefully we make it back to the town.
But I know like some DMs don't like that, but I'm like, I don't care because I just like roll with whatever. Like,
yeah.
If my players are like, we're gonna set up a tavern and run it, then I start thinking like, well, what are some of the things that can happen and go wrong with the tavern that they're gonna have to try and fix?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like,
That's a good way to do it too, for sure. I don't know. DMing. I feel like you can get your feelings hurt too, though, if people don't want to do it. What you've planned out. Like if you put all this hard work into an adventure and then they don't do it, like I think I would get my feelings hurt.
yeah, I mean, it's part of it, but I don't think it's ever personal, right? When that happens, it's like they're not thinking about that. They're because sometimes you'll say something as the GM, and it's like just an offhand comment, or you're just adding some background flavor or something colorful to it, and then they latch onto it. Like it didn't really mean anything to you. They just ask a question, and you're like, oh, who's around? And you just throw out some like random people, and then all of a sudden, like they just want to follow your sexy goblin around and talk to that character all session, and that's all they want to do.
That's funny you say that. Kind of happened with this one character. This one guy that he was like possibly could have been bad for us. Like he could have tried to turn us in. So the bard ended up seducing him, and now they're like lovers, and it's pretty great because they just anytime we're not fighting, they're back at the tavern in their room, and it was like, I like it. I like it a lot.
Some stereotypes and tropes are there for a reason. Bards.
Hey, yes. I mean, that's like, if I were to play a bard, that would be my main way to get out of everything. I think I would really enjoy that part.
I mean, you got to have that. If you got that high charisma check, you should do something with it.
Yeah.
I think we did a video where like we just wanted to see how broken persuasion could be, and like I think the minimum check we came up with was like in the 30s, but like maxed out much higher, like 70s.
Wow.
It's like ridiculous, especially for 5e because 30 is supposed to be impossible, like an impossible task. But I don't think they calculated their math correctly or they weren't thinking of things they were going to add to the game later. In previous editions or Pathfinder, like the skill checks go up to crazy numbers, and in third edition they had they had the epic level handbook, and they had DCs for things like swimming up a waterfall, or I think it was like you needed an 80, but if you got an 80, you could swim up a waterfall, or like there
God.
was used to be an escape artist check, and like it was like a 120 to slip past a wall of force. Those are definitely things I do not miss from the game.
Oh, that sounds crazy. Like, yeah.
It was, but
I don't-
also right, like the amount of math in those games is so much more than 5. It's more than I want to do for recreation. Let's just say.
That's
So,
the map. Yeah.
I,
Well, we use, huh?
no, go ahead.
No, we use D&D Beyond Online so much that like I feel like the math, like people are always talking about, oh, the math in D&D. I'm like, well, if you do it online, it kind of does it for you. You don't have to think too much on it. So
Oh yeah,
I like that part. Yeah.
I mean, and 5e is a lot more streamlined and easier than previous editions. And then using
Mm,
like I've gotten so lazy with stuff. It's like if it's not in D&D Beyond, I don't even want to invite games anymore because it is made things a lot easier.
yeah, yeah. The only thing I don't, I really like rolling physical dice, but we do have to roll the digital dice for reasons for previous players, I think. But anyway, it doesn't matter what the reason is.
Certain people who will not be renamed
Yeah,
now have to roll the digital dice.
yeah. So I miss my physical dice because that's part of I don't know, that's one of the most fun things about it. Like rolling. I would totally be a dice goblin if I had endless amounts of money.
The I will say though, like with the D&D Beyond dice, they definitely do some things that my physical dice cannot do.
Oh yeah.
Well, they have
Like,
like the ones that slosh around because they're like potion bottles. They have ones that like when
oh,
you get a 20, they like explode or do something
I
or turn
yeah,
to stone.
I haven't explored all the different cool dice you can do on there. Yeah, I just have like the one that's set for me. But I will say I do roll a fair amount of natural 20s with these dice. So I really can't complain. I shouldn't complain because it's pretty great.
Well, all dice hate me, digital or analog, so it's not an issue.
Oh, that's fair.
I generate a bad luck aura for dice.
Well, it happens. I mean, I did have like my first like 5 rolls yesterday, I think were all really low. And I was like,
Yeah,
what? Like I didn't hit anything. I was super upset. But then it got better as the night went on. So
they just needed to warm up. So
yeah, we recovered.
we are just past the hour mark. Final thoughts before we head on out?
Oh gosh. I don't know. This has been fun. Like, thank you for reaching out to me. I feel good knowing that it is like my content's getting out there to cool people, I don't know. I'm glad this has been fun. So
Yeah.
yes.
Well, thanks for making the content. Appreciate it, folks. You can follow along with those links in the description. You'll also find a link to follow our latest Kickstarter to get notified when it launches. And until next time, stay nerdy. And we are out.